look at the combine last of all. I imagine this video is going to be pretty long.
That's a model previous Massey, so that instead of being an 18S is just an 18.
Yeah, so same horsepower, isn't it? But
yes.
You had this one quite newish, didn't you? This one?
Yeah.
This one's...
That was advertised, Farrell's that came from.
Yeah.
Jeff knew we were looking for something with a loader.
Yeah.
So he kept it in mind, and this came in. I don't remember how many hours it had done, nothing much, 800 hours, something like that.
It got guidance, this one.
Got guidance and all that, and that is a quite high spec tractor.
Yeah. Loader as well, isn't it?
The loader was what we were, we were a bit short of a loader at the time, and the teleporters were great, Matt, but if you were going off after a load of big bale hay, and we were going to Aylesbury for it, you wanted something you could jump on and go and load it.
Yeah.
Bring it home. It was simple, it's brilliant. We could go and load 3 trailers and then come home.
Yeah.
And tow a load home with us.
Yeah.
So that was the sort of...
Yeah, and the loader goes on, doesn't it? And it don't come off all summer. It's handy. No. It is. You use it more than you realise, don't you? Even with 3 telehandlers, still use it a lot.
But it is a nicer tractor to use without it on in the winter. It's a bit less cumbersome.
Yeah. There's only one thing with this one, and it's where they put the switch, the electrics for the loader, isn't it?
And it's electric up and spools again.
Yeah, electric spools, and they've stuck them where I actually don't know where they are, but they're up under here.
They're in that. Under that there.
Under that shroud in there, but yeah. Now and again it happens. It's not that often though, is it?
The loader stops working.
It will always be plugs, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get out, wriggle a plug, and it'll wail down.
90%. I took those apart and just sprayed them with the solvent, and they're back going again now. So we'll pop the loader back on it. But this,
this is a nice tractor though, isn't it? This has had no problems, has it? Really?
That is a beautiful tractor.
Yeah.
And it's nice to drive, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean the guidance is nice as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the most accurate of guidance, is it? As we've seen, but it's more than adequate for fertilising.
Yeah.
It's more than adequate for rolling and stuff like that, isn't it? Harrowing.
There ain't much. I think the drilling's all right myself.
Yeah.
I know you do have some misses.
I don't know if I could do it better than that, if I'm honest.
I wouldn't. I'll be honest. I would put that on a drill every time, if I'm truthful. Especially if we're going to end up at it at night. Because when you're trying to look and follow a drill guidance line at night, a marker line,
scratch line,
that's bloody hard work. That is hard work. You can never see with headlights quite fair enough, can you? That's easy to get wrong.
Yeah.
But that basically is the same as your tractor.
Yeah.
There ain't much difference.
Yours has just got a few more styling tweaks on it. Different colour in the cab, the plastic work.
They changed the front axles, Pete, didn't they? The 80, that was the old school front axle, Matty, with how they designed the suspension.
Yeah.
And these are different. They know a bar goes back and 2 rams on the front. Much simpler design, Pete.
Yeah, it is.
No grease.
More comfortable, definitely. As well.
Probably more comfortable. Yeah. Cole's Renault came when that first came, and that had almost like a wishbone wishbone suspension. A lot of grease nipples. I remember reading things and everybody was moaning about it. But Christ Almighty, that was comfy tractor, wasn't it?
It still is to this day.
It still is to this day.
And he hasn't had nothing wear out on it. He greases it regularly, and it's good.
You got grease nipples, you grease it. That's the top and bottom of that. It's no great shape for comfort. But I think these are a much tidier design, than that.
Yeah.
And again, you can operate the suspension from in the cab, lower and higher to the height you need.
And round the back, it's the same as the others, isn't it? 4 spools and exactly the same. Nothing special.
The only issues we've had really with all of these, not with these ones here, has been the mudguards, Pete, isn't it? They got a little 2 bearings in there, Matty, on the mudguards, and we've had 1 or 2 where the mud and the dirt have got ground into them.
Yeah.
They just wear out.
Is that because they turn with the wheels?
Yeah, and then the mudguard starts flopping about.
Because the mudguard can turn independent, Holly says, go the right way.
Yeah.
So and there's just 2 bearings in there, Matt, and they were, and then they start flopping about.
Yeah.
And you think, oh well, we'll tighten them up, didn't we?
Yeah.
Initially, we was like, oh well, they're
So you'd
taper
class
bearings.
that as a wearable, wouldn't you? It's
Oh,
in
yeah.
it's in the crap. It's
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
You know.
it's a long, it takes a.
But once you get slop in the mudguard and it's flopping like it shears the bolts off eventually, you're going down the road and it'll shear the mudguard off and it'll go flying into the ditch.
Yeah.
We've had that a couple of times.
Yeah. But you'd think with a taper bearing you could tighten them up. You think,
Yeah.
oh yeah, just tweak them up and do it like a wheel bearing.
Yeah.
Because they're 2 taper bearings.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work.
No.
I don't know the reason why.
Well, it spends most of its life in that position, doesn't it? Straight, and it's wobbling backwards and forwards, and it ribs the little bearing races.
Yeah.
They're all ribby when you take them apart.
Yeah.
So we just keep a few of them in the shed. We keep a couple of sets of them in the shed, and we're not doing them all the time. Don't
No.
think for 1 second we're doing them all the time.
No.
That's 70. I've never done them. I've
No,
never touched
no, I
them.
know that.
No.
Those 80s seem to be the worst.
80s appear to be the worst. We've not touched these much. So
No.
whether they put a little bit bigger bearing in or something like that, possibly.
Yeah.
But
So,
no, they're good.
yeah, good tractor that one.
Yeah, it is.
So then we come on to your 6480. Now this isn't. Well, the gearbox is slightly different on yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a Dyna 6, but it's something different about it. I just,
It's the software, isn't it? They call those auto drive,
Right.
and I had no idea what this, because I didn't realise you could buy it differently.
No.
I bought that without seeing it,
Yeah.
and of course it
Was.
came with this gearbox that was a little bit different. And top and bottom of it, the
gotta
other
change-
6480, you
Yeah.
can program your start speed,
Yeah.
and then you can just go out through the shifts, and it will always go back to whatever you got it set.
well, you
at.
got it programmed to start off.
So if you had it set 3C, 3D,
yeah.
you pull up at a junction, mate, it'll go back to 3C, so you can start again.
Yeah.
If you pull up at a junction with this in 4F or 4D, it will go back to 4A,
Oh. But won't
but you
go
will
down.
stall it.
Yeah.
So if you went to the junction in 3F, it will go back to 3A,
Yeah.
and it's not so bad.
So this one's got the Stallatronic gearbox in
Yeah.
it, because you are always stalling
If
it.
you ain't used to it, you will stall it. Yeah. But you put something on the front here, Pete, didn't you? You wanted it kitted out for your
Yeah.
sprayer.
Because it didn't have front linkage, we had to mount the tank on something else, so we built a frame just to
Yeah. So how does this go on
carry
then?
the sprayer tank.
This way.
Just
This,
bolted to the tombstone where the weight carrier goes.
yeah.
And it's actually better, mate,
Yeah.
because Pete's got the tank closer to the front.
Yeah.
You know, the
So it's
short
not
your wheelbase.
shortens the wheelbase. The tank, if you put your front linkage on there, Matt, your link arms are here,
Yeah.
and then you hook on there, so your tank immediately is a foot or 14 inches further forward.
Yeah. And as we know, getting out of gateways
fantastic.
can be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a good setup.
Yeah.
If I was going to do anything different, I would probably have a 1500 litre tank on the front.
Yeah.
That's probably, it's
Is it heavy when it's fully loaded?
Yeah, not mental.
Not crazy.
No. We were spraying last week and not making a mark, Matt.
No.
It's much better. That's a better job down the road.
Yeah.
That's
And what hours is your this one on?
don't know.
No.
6,000, I expect something in that region.
Yeah.
5 or 6, Matt.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Yeah, that's
And you had a top con fitted to that, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And that's a better job, isn't it, than the that one you added to there is a better job than the one that comes included with that 77, isn't it?
yeah,
Seems
but
to be.
I
Seems
think
to be
they're
more
basically
accurate.
The same system.
I don't know what the accuracy level of this is
I
compared
don't
to that.
know.
but
No, I don't know. I don't know.
You've got your 800s on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're good, mate.
Yeah.
We've kept it as narrow as we can, so when we change it, we put the plates to the inside of the wheels or something, just to try and keep stuff down,
Yeah.
just to keep it a little bit narrow.
Yeah.
The only thing that you have to watch is the gap on the fuel tank. So you've got to make sure that you've got a gap. You don't want it too tight. It's going to build with dirt and get some
Oh, on
stone
the inside
in there.
with the,
yeah.
I get it.
But
And-
you want it narrow to go down the road, and that is compared to where the old booms were coming up the side of the cab.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, much better.
And the spray is actually detachable, isn't it? You can take that off quite quickly, can't you?
Yeah.
It's only a 10-minute job, is it?
Oh, literally 5 minutes.
5 minutes. And
Tell-
yeah, you'd have seen in the summer last year, it would have been on the tedder, it would have been on something, you
Yeah.
know. So it's always a tractor we can always use as well, isn't it? So,
the sprayer very rarely come off at that 70, did it? We very rarely took it off, mate, because we were spraying all the time. Literally, I would get it off and there would always be something wanted doing somewhere. But when we got on to the spring cropping, of course, it's changed all the spraying. You know, we're not doing...
But it was also a bit more of a task to
it was a pain.
The old one off,
Yeah.
Not as simple as this one.
That is literally 5 minutes to take on and off. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And you just leave this on. You don't bother to
I don't take the front tank off, mate.
No.
Take the back off. Yeah, no, it's good. And you know, the gearbox is not quite as good as that, but it's fine. I'm doing what I'm doing because, and also you get used to it. You're in it, so you get used to it. And I still do stall it.
Yeah.
But not when you're spraying, because actually what it would actually do, it will stay in the range that you're in. So 90% of the time I'm in 3, so it will always stay in that 3 range.
Yeah.
You just get used to doing it.
And how does the guidance work on that one? Say if you've got an older tractor, people don't realise if you've got an older tractor, you can still have guidance fitted to them, can't you?
Yeah. Well, it's got an electric steering wheel, so it's quite tidy. Jump in and have a look.
Yeah. We'll just show you quick, because I'm sure I've showed you before, but we'll jump up and in because it's all done. Whereas the newer ones are done with internal pumps, aren't they? On the axles.
And the hydraulic valves.
On the hydraulic valves, mate.
And this one is done with an electric, and you'll see the steering wheel move as it tries to compensate where it needs to go. And it's just got a switch on it, and farmer, this thing?
Yeah, down the side.
Down the side, that's it.
But it is easy, mate.
Yeah. And it works well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it works
so
well.
Much easier.
You're happy with that, wouldn't you?
It's so much easier.
Yeah. And so that's another 80, and then we move on to the one we bought at the end of last year, which was, hang on, we've got to go this side because it's sun. And so Keithy had a 7720 at the end of last year, didn't he? And it was due its time to be changed.
I know bugger all about that, so nobody asking me about that.
No, this is the new one from Massey, isn't it, Pete?
Well, I know nothing about it.
All right.
I haven't even driven it.
We haven't actually used it too much yet, have we? But this is the new Massey 8S, 205 horsepower. What was that? 225 max, I think they say on that one. And this one's fully kitted out, isn't it? This one is fully kitted out.
That is just a beautiful tractor. You know, whichever way you look at it, that is bloody smashing. LEDs, or on the kit on it. We haven't used it, Matt, in all honesty, so we can't say whether it's this or whether it's that. Keith will use it, he'll have it on the combination when in a day or two.
So you're hooking the combination drill up to this, so it'll look an absolute beast, won't it, when that... Once that's all hooked up. Are you going to put bigger tyres on?
Yeah, probably,
900s on?
Put a 900s on.
Yeah.
And that would be a nice test for Keith, won't it? You know, for the guidance and stuff like this, Matty, he'll use that.
Front linkage, front PTO, everything looks a little bit different on these, don't they? They've changed a lot, haven't they? They did change a lot when they made these.
Yeah. Well, I think they've started not from scratch, but you know, the bonnet and the whole design of that was different. And you know, the airflow's different, Matty.
Well, the transmission is different as well. It's got its own dedicated oil supply for the hydraulics. It's not mixed in with the gears or stuff like
It's a clever design, isn't it? It is a clever design.
I'm still not a big fan of the look of it, to be honest. Don't like the look of that cab. It's lovely cab inside. It's beautiful.
Well, I had some inside information, because to us that cab is just too big for that tractor, isn't it? But what they did tell me at a show was I think there's going to be a 9S and even a 10S, you know, for these high horsepower things. We don't have any space for that here, do we, those big horsepowers? That's why that will do your cultivation works, won't it?
I agree with Pete, totally. Because I think there's, even just by lowering those beacons, Pete, to me, stood back looking at it, if you put those beacons down with beacons like on that combine, I think you could change the looks of that tractor.
Yeah, they do stand pretty tall, don't they?
Without doing too much.
No, not
you know.
It's not a big redesign, is it? It's
No. I think they could have made the cab probably 10% smaller.
Yeah.
You know, in what
I think they're going to use that cab though for the next two
Yeah,
models up.
exactly.
So
yeah, of course, it makes sense, Matty.
Yeah.
And perhaps
And
they
it's
could do
lovely-
things a bit cheaper. You know, they're doing it that way.
Yeah.
And of course, with that airflow coming the other way, that cab's cool because it draws all the air off of it. Because the salesman told you it did.
Oh yeah, extra cooling for the
They're
engine.
always
eh?
right.
Don't ever forget that.
Double the cooling power. Look at the exhaust though. The exhaust annoys me. Like, you see a big tractor, you want to see a big exhaust. You know, just out of your childhood.
That's to improve visibility though, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can see lovely out of there. You can.
That is.
They moved all the gubbins under that panel there, didn't they? That's what they said. So it went away, didn't it? We had it sent away because we had some niggles, didn't we? We had cab mounts knocking, didn't we?
Yeah, little bits
And
and pieces.
one of the things was it was pulling, wasn't it? It was pulling.
They're coming Tuesday to do a modification.
Oh,
On the brakes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I don't know what, a valve in the brake block somewhere or something like that.
Yeah.
They're coming to fix that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it is an issue. I think it's an issue on the 8S. I
Right.
think that, you know, there's something that we're not the only ones whinging.
No. What would happen is, Keithy was saying, and we haven't tested it enough to really give it a full, you know, what's what test, have we? But Keithy noticed at some points, and I noticed it when I drove it just once or twice, the brakes would just suddenly apply and the whole thing wanted to shift to the left. But
Well, they've had to go balancing the brakes, Matt. But
Yeah.
I think basically there's some fundamental error somewhere that they are coming to sort. They're coming this week to sort.
and we have full faith that, you know, these things always happen on new models, don't they?
yeah, definitely.
Let's go around the back end.
Look, the back end, Matt, that's where, you know, with air brakes and all the thing now, everything's gone to air. And I suspect this is something that we've got to go to anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
And plus this is a 4-pillar cab now, isn't it? Which is the biggest improvement out of... That's all we wanted to see really when they made a new tractor, is give us a 4-pillar cab, because the visibility is...
Massey were a bit behind the game on that because everyone else done a 4-pillar
agree.
and they're still on a 6-pillar cab.
little things, I don't like that.
No.
Why would you put that back in here?
It's
where you're gonna
awkward,
get
it's heavy,
plastered
isn't
in
it?
shit again.
And it's heavy to lift in
Yeah.
there.
They had that lovely setup on the front,
Yeah.
and they've gone to something,
Come back to that.
to me, that is, you know, why would you put it back in there?
No.
And it's great, but you're almost lifting it at arm's length.
Yeah. Yeah, you try lifting something heavy out. Yeah. And you
it's-
know, the wheels are always going to be plastered in something,
exactly.
aren't they?
You know, it's not going to be a nice day when you're doing it. Not
No.
always.
Look, they changed little things here, haven't they? The way these things work, you know, instead of them getting rubbish back in them, they automatic close. They changed these a little bit, because on ours you just push,
Yeah.
but on these, if you want you have to push them for the top one and pull them for the bottom, or
Well,
something
that's
like
good,
that.
because you can take one out at a time. If you
Yes.
want to take one out,
If you did it the other way, it pushed them both out, didn't it?
Yeah, both pipes together.
Controls, PTO controls, spool controls. Should we start her up? Let's start her up, because she's a new.
you get in there and start.
Oh,
I'm
all
not
right.
allowed in.
That
That is, you know, again, back to what it was.
it's a
Designed
step
properly.
forward, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
of
it's
course
not
it is.
quite big enough, is it?
Well, no, but Matt, it's on the top.
Yes, it's out the road.
They've obviously, the old boy that they brought the same man back, haven't they? So come back and redesign that toolbox for us, please.
Yeah. It's sending me down.
You're obviously heavier than the previous pilot.
Bring everyone up, because not many people have seen inside these things, and they are impressive. Once you're inside, there's a hell of a lot of room out the front, massive amounts of room. Keithy's trying to keep his seats all clean, so I try not to get too much dirt anywhere. But yeah, Keithy's going to be using this, and it is a lovely place. Inside, I mean, you're not going to get more comfortable than this, really. You'll figure it out before I
For
do.
all of us, won't it?
So they've gone to this Allen key design with the lock, haven't they?
Yeah. It's good, isn't it?
Do you think that's a step forward or a step back?
Well, it's certainly taken longer to. It's certainly taken us longer to get in there.
Good job the engine's not on fire.
Nobody's looked in it, Matt.
No.
And really,
Have you looked in it yet? This is the
No.
first time you looked in it?
Yeah.
He's had it. How long have you had it?
Yeah,
But they've changed a few things here, haven't they? Because the engine now draws air from the back.
yeah. Yeah.
Pete will have to explain the rest because I don't know
Well, I
anything.
don't.
This is your air filter now, engine air filter?
Well, the air intake's there, judging by the look of it, comes into the filter there.
Fair. Yeah. So, that's a
Is there anything you recognise there, Pete?
An engine.
Yeah. Is it Zaizu again? Is
Yes,
it?
the Zaizu engine the same.
Obviously that's where the air comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, from the filter, yeah.
It's a bit taller, that's why it's so tall, Matt, isn't it? Because they've got a bit more sat on top of the engine, haven't they?
Different fuel pump to the old ones
Yeah,
as
a
well.
bit different. You know, you got your aircon, Matt, your alternators. It's, you know, it's just a bit more compact.
You'll get people
But-
thinking we're having a farm sale up here when you come past.
It is quiet in the cab.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
You get in there and shut the door.
Yeah. Because
It-
look
it
at the
is
gap between the
quiet.
cab and the engine now. And that is something we noticed straight away, wasn't it? It is
Right,
quiet
Keith,
in there.
Keith said about it. Yeah.
But Keithy will be the one using it most of the summer, won't he? And he'll tell us all about it at the end.
This is all a little bit different, mate. This doesn't lift up, does it? I can
The old rad packs always used to
Yeah.
fold out on the 80s.
So they lift it up, and I actually like them. I think
Yeah.
they're a bloody good design. They all
Yeah.
separate, and you can get the airline.
They're all fixed.
This doesn't look like you can, mate, but you can get an airline in there, mate.
Yeah.
This obviously undoes the rads behind it. This is the rad back here.
Right.
It'll get blown out, Matt. It'll,
Yeah.
You know, keep it blown out every
Yeah.
day.
Front PTO as well on this one.
Yeah, front PTO.
Now we've got something maybe coming for that, haven't we? We're not going to say what it is right now, but yeah, there is something that might come for that before.
I don't think that is quite such a good design as the 77 series. I don't know what you think. I think they lift in rads, and the 64, 80, the 80 series.
Yeah, I mean, there's no access to blow stuff back through, but
No.
it might stay cleaner anyway.
Well, that is what they're saying, Pete. It sucks it from the back, you see, and it stays cleaner.
Right.
I don't know, Matt. It's tidy, isn't it? You know, you look at
Yeah.
it.
We
it's
won't
tidy.
really know until the end of next year when we've had a
You
really.
won't know till you stick it in some dust and dirt and see what it does.
And it will get used, won't it? Because it's going to do all the cultivation. It's going to do. It's going to get put on the drill. Keithy has got something coming that will use the front PTO. So we'll talk about that on another day. Whether it gets here in time and for this year is another thing, because parts are hard work at the minute, and anything's hard work.
That's a little bit different, Pete, isn't it? That tie bar there.
No, that's still on the others.
Is it?
Yeah.
What does that do?
Yeah, because there's nothing stopping that axle
No,
going
that's
from the
all-
side. So they've all got
I
that.
never noticed it on that. I
Yeah.
never noticed it on that.
Yeah, if you look on this,
I never noticed it.
yeah, mine's got it as well.
Yeah, I hadn't bloody
No,
noticed
I've
it.
never. I've never noticed
I
that.
just noticed it stood there.
But we love the 4-pillar design, don't we? That's the big winner for that tractor. And these, I think they go up to, I think they do right up to 300 horsepower in that range. So yeah, pretty impressive machine, isn't it? Looking at it, it's a bit of kit.
It'll be alright.
Yeah.
And you always have niggles with new kit. You
Yeah.
will always have one or two little gremlins. Always.
Yeah.
It's
You had a
part
76-19, didn't you? And that they took. How long did it take to put that right? Nearly a year, didn't it?
Yeah.
That had suspension issues.
Well,
was it,
they
Pete?
were
Yeah.
design issue, really, Pete, wasn't it? That was a design issue that they had to change, Matt, and it took them a while to get that changed. But it's a bit like a car with a recall, isn't it? You know,
It got sorted in the end.
Yeah,
and once
like
it
it.
was fixed, it was alright.
Yeah.
they get it sorted.
Yeah, but that's the newest one to the fleet, and then we come on to the telehandlers, don't we?
Yeah.
And you were saying you come. Where did we go? You come from your John Deere? Then you went on to Manitou, didn't you?
Yeah.
We're missing one, aren't we?
Is.
We're missing the older one,
Yeah.
which is a 735, is it?
735. That's right.
Yeah, but essentially the same, isn't it?
Different cab.
Different cab, yeah.
These are a better cab. You always
Oh yeah, nice.
disliked
Yeah,
Didn't
because
you?
there was a
Always.
big bar across, when you're loading grain lorries, there was a big part of the cab frame smack bang right in the way, always.
Yeah.
And loading bales as well. Whereas you've got that curved windscreen with no bar,
No.
it's much different.
Nicer.
Well,
isn't it?
that is a much better cab. I mean, I
And-
never
and,
worried too much about the cab on the other one.
That's a good feature, the floor cut out, because that makes getting in and out the cab so much easier, because you can just put your foot down onto a step.
Yeah. Now these things are caked at the minute, but there's no point washing these things off, is there? Because the next day they're caked again.
Yeah.
So they do get washed as soon as winter's over and done
the
with.
cows have gone out.
And cows are good. Yeah, everything does get washed off, but at the right time. You can wash these things daily, couldn't you? And they're still coming.
Yeah.
You will give yourself some problems by keep washing that.
Yeah.
You will give yourself some arse.
Yeah. So we only clean things as they need to be cleaned.
But
don't
we grease them and
yeah, greasing is the main. That is something you've got to stay on top of. All
We
around the
change
carriage
the
and
oils in the axles and the hubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be. And
yeah. It's a big job keeping all these machines
just because
serviced.
you've got a bit of dirt on them, mate, don't mean they're not looked after.
No.
I actually think it's crueler to keep washing them. I think, in all honesty, because the water just gets everywhere.
And a clean tractor that's never had an oil change is much better, much worse condition than one that's regularly serviced. Isn't it?
Definitely.
And
Physically, it might look different,
Oh,
but it's
you-
not
not.
only that, you
walk
pull
up
the
to
paint
it.
off, don't you? You start pulling paint off, and they start looking horrible. But yeah, come
These
springtime.
are, I think, a bit better machine than the old one. I don't know
Oh yeah,
what you
it
would
is
say.
a different.
You know, I think these were a step forward.
Yeah.
Smoother hydraulics.
The other one
and
was
that.
noisy in the cab as well.
Yeah.
These are quieter.
Yeah.
Well, you actually, what was the deal with that old one? You was going to sell it, weren't you?
Yeah.
They didn't offer you quite enough
Well, we
for it, did we?
thought we were going to trade it for a new one,
Yeah.
and the new one was, we knew what the price of a new one was, but they didn't offer what I didn't think was quite enough money for the old one.
No.
And in hindsight, it probably we'd be better off selling it now, probably, wouldn't we?
Yeah, because prices have gone
The
up.
prices have gone silly, but
But these machines, arguably, are the most important machines on the farm, really, because they are used constantly, daily,
Yeah, every day.
every
Without
day,
fail.
without fail. They are being used, aren't they?
3 machines is overkill.
Yeah.
We don't.
No, not in the winter,
We
yeah.
don't need the loader now for the AT.
No.
So we but the difference when I pretty much knocked that deal on the head. It was just like, no, that's not happening. Then Jeff had that one sat up there, and he rang me and said, we've got this telehandler with 1,200 hours. Is this something you're interested in? And the price was exactly the same as me trading the Manitou against a new one. It was almost identical.
Yeah.
And he said, what do you want to do with your old one? And I said, well, I'll just hang on to it for a day or two.
Yeah.
Last year was a bit of a strange year, wasn't it? Because we were all, there was everything going on, and we got so far behind with work, haven't we? We were miles behind with everything.
Yeah.
And it was nothing to do with what we were doing. It was just the year, and there was the way it panned out, the weather panned out. And it's noticeable for us, Matt. If we've got 3 of us loading bales of any description, with one emptying, one loading, that's 2 teleports tied up.
Yeah.
Then the phone would go and they'd want a load of bales on a lorry somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can cope with that if you've got a machine.
Yeah.
Because a man can empty a trailer himself, he can load a trailer himself.
Yeah.
But if the teleport's disappeared one end, all of a sudden 3 or 4 people are stood still.
Yeah.
And it's like this time of year, in a few weeks' time, you're going to have 2 drills running. So 2 telehandlers to service 2 drills.
Yeah.
You've got nothing left to feed the cows then.
No.
You know, and there's loaders about it you can do it. You know, there are ways around it, but it's certainly not as easy.
No.
But the main thing was, when we were all busy last year, we were sort of almost buying ourselves out of trouble, I thought.
Yeah.
Is it a right move or a wrong move? I've no idea. I'll tell
No.
you.
But come summer, they won't be stood still, will they?
No.
They won't be stood still.
Well,
at all.
we got 2 loading things, and then they were wanting one to push grain up. so the grain pusher would sit on. Well, we would have Coles Merlot, wouldn't we? You'd have the Merlot down and let it sit on the. You know, Cole was good enough to let that come. So that would sit on the grain pusher, and then it left Cole with that. If he wanted to feed some cattle out in the field, he was knackered. Then he had his load on his class, didn't he? So, and it worked. I'm not saying it didn't work.
There are times when all three of them are working.
Yeah.
But there are times when only two of them are working.
Yeah, exactly. And what machines essence are they? What's the lift capacity and the reach and?
So there's 7 meters.
It's all to do with the numbers, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
7 meter reach.
3.7 tons.
Yeah, I think so.
130 horsepower engine.
And the other one's the same, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
They're
identical. Them two are identical.
The old one hasn't got LEDs, has it?
No.
And that was a massive improvement. These LEDs are, and this one comes with boom LEDs, doesn't it?
I think they are LEDs, Matt.
These are LEDs.
The cab are, and the ones on the side are.
Yeah, but the old one isn't, is it?
Yeah, the old one's not.
And they're not as good, are they?
No, crikey. No. And these on the boom are fantastic.
Yeah,
because
this one doesn't have one. But
well, when if I was loading hay in the mornings or night, you know, just invariably it is, getting stuff out the barns, they are just dynamite.
Yeah.
You know, I can see the roof, you can see to load a lorry in the dark. There's no issues. I can get it pretty straight.
You like those as well, don't you, Pete? The LEDs on the boom.
LEDs just different altogether, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, you can load a lorry night or day.
Yeah.
And it's getting pretty accurate.
It's different type of light as well, isn't it?
And they're identical machines.
Yeah.
Obviously, this one's got the tyres are starting to wear on this one, aren't they? But you said before
you've done no hours. I think I'd done 1,200 hours when I didn't look at it again.
Yeah.
I just took Jeff at his word, and he's.
What's this one done?
No idea.
I don't know.
I reckon it's in the 4,000, I think.
Yeah,
4,300, something like that.
creeping towards 5.
Yeah.
What's it on 17 plate?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be creeping towards 5,000 now.
Yeah. And not many. What electrical is the only thing that we've had on these electrical issues, isn't it? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
They're not these much so much as the old one.
The old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old one. There was always 1 or 2 electrical gremlins. They basically put the wire up under the.
Where they'd routed the wires out the cab, wouldn't
yeah.
they? The wire
Came
and
up on the cab. Ollie sorted that.
Yeah.
Bish sorted that.
And these ones have got AdBlue, haven't they?
The old one would blow a pipe, wouldn't it, Pete? That comes down the side of the boom.
Underneath the boom.
Underneath the boom. It comes off the back matty at the back part there, and then comes down and underneath the boom, under here. And the old one on the bend would always be blowing a pipe, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it always split the
I don't
pipe.
know. Well, we changed that to flexi pipe, and it's, you know, we've not had the issue since.
No.
But
they moved these ones. Our older one isn't AdBlue, is it?
No.
And they moved these to AdBlue, and we have had 1 or 2 issues with the AdBlue, haven't we? On
one
one,
of them.
on this one.
yeah,
And what was it? AdBlue pump, was it? It was under warranty, wasn't it?
yeah. It
Just.
was the AdBlue pump, but it knocked a. Was it a filter? What was the thing on the back? It knocked off, and they reckon it got some muck in the tank.
Breather.
A breather.
No.
Whether we knocked it off or whether it had been knocked off and it filled with a bit of dirt or something like that, Matt, that could have been all part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that.
And it kept throwing us up some codes. Was it last year or year before? Year before.
But that was associated with that.
Right.
That was
Derated the
associated.
engine.
You know, that it was all to do with this breather, Matty.
Right.
And I'd come out and sorted that.
Yeah.
And of course, now we know what it is. We know what to be looking for. And I think it actually comes part of the service kit then. It was
A filter, yeah.
A filter came part of the service kit.
And do you service these, Pete? Because
Yeah.
the 8S we
Yeah.
Yeah, while the tractors are under warranty, Chandlers will have to service them to maintain a warranty. But once they come out of warranty, they generally get serviced on the farm.
Yeah. So when Pete starts servicing things, he'll take you along for the ride, won't you, Pete?
If you want.
I'll help him, won't I?
Well, you can be there. And
We'll show you some of the servicing that Peter does. And how often will you service things?
Well, I generally go through all the tractors just before we get the mad rush haymaking and stuff like that. So they'll all have the back end oil change and engine service if it needs it.
But generally, and when they get to their hours as well.
Go on. But the hours tend to clash with the busy period starting anyway. So
Right. So try and get them
if
all
they're
done.
within 50 hours, they'll get done.
Yeah. And what else about these teleporters? Anything else, Pete? These boom lights really are good. Aren't they?
Yeah, this one's got a camera for the rear hitch and a camera on the front of the
Yeah.
boom. You don't really use the one on the front.
No,
of the
the one on the rear hitch is nice because if you're in the dark, it's actually infrared and
Yeah,
it
you
shows
can see
the hitch
hook
up.
in the
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah, so that is nice, but we don't use it a lot. You might use it when if the sun's against you like it is now, that is a job to see the hitch out the back. That is one of the, and we do tow a lot of things, don't we, Pete? We do use the back of these, and you've got a service on these as well, haven't you, Pete, down the back here? What engine's in there, Pete?
It's a Deutz engine in this.
Deutz?
Yeah, the old one's got a Mercedes engine.
Right.
I don't know whether it's the engine that made the old one noisy or whether it's just the cab not so well soundproof, but the other one is tremendously noisy.
Didn't we have a water loop?
The expansion tank,
Yeah.
it split around one of there. That was the old one, I think.
It was the old one.
Yeah.
And what happened last year? You did a service on one of them, and we couldn't get it going again because we.
No, we did a fuel filter change as normal.
Yeah.
Normally no hassle. And then did the fuel, started using it, and it ran for 20 minutes or so, and then it decided to stop. And we could not get the thing going. Got it airlocked somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was an absolute pain, and it's never happened before.
No. Apparently that's a notorious problem on it. The airlock on the diesel. Do you remember when it stopped in the yard when we just done a filter change?
Yeah.
And there's a filter in there, Pete. What's that horrible filter you got to change underneath?
The hydraulic oil filter. That one there. That gets stuck for some reason. I don't know. I grease the threads up. Whenever you go to undo that, it's just jammed solid.
That's hard work, that one, isn't it? Yeah, and what's around the back here, Farmer? You got some. This one's got one, but the other one's got two.
It's just spool valve.
So you could operate a trailer.
External spool valve.
You could tip a trailer in them if you wanted to, but
Yeah.
we don't because you can mix the teleporter oil with a tractor oil. Then it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, brakes and lights, and we do tow a lot with them, don't we?
Yeah.
We do use them for towing, and
We don't tip anything, do we?
no, you never use the service.
It mixes the oil, like Pete says, it's different type of oil
Oh,
in a teleporter to the rear end of a tractor.
right.
So we tend not to tip with it.
No,
Um,
and you'll do this when you go to fill up, won't you, Peter? You'll take both of these off. You put the nozzle back.
Matthew, that does
Put the nozzle back, and then
that one you're
Carnage.
okay with because it's on a chain. Oh, it's not. But you always
Used to be.
tend to leave that one on.
yeah. Well, yeah.
that's guaranteed, isn't it?
Oh man, once a year at least.
Yeah, that is guaranteed. I do it more regular than that.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh man.
I'll
But,
be the one on a chain. Maybe out of
I'm sure
thought-
they were on chain.
I thought one was on the chain.
Is it the old ad blue or not?
No.
Oh,
Must
No.
be those Massey's blue.
yeah.
I know that the fuel cap, I'm always leaving that on. You know, you almost have to tell yourself,
We've all done it.
don't forget it.
Yeah.
They
good
don't
machines,
appear
aren't
bad machines, mate. I
No.
don't know.
The
We had
aircon.
we had a few here on demo, and top and bottom of it, they're the ones we got on with. And
Yeah. Yeah, the operation on the handle is quite nice, isn't it?
yeah.
And it wouldn't make sense to have a Merlot, a Manitou, and a thing, because even operating the hitch is all different on each one, and then you've got to try and tell everybody where it is.
And the filters are common across all three mostly. So
Yeah.
you know if you've got filters in stock, they'll fit
They're
either
very,
on.
very similar to drive, aren't they? So
Yeah.
if you get out of one and into the other, they're all much of a muchness.
These have auto boom suspension, so they're comfortable, aren't they?
Yeah.
But the old one you have to actually turn on, don't you?
And pressurise it.
Yeah. You got to remember to do that going down the road, or you will be bouncing about.
Yeah, and
But it works nice when
the-
that's on, doesn't it?
yeah, but it's crazy, Matt, isn't it? Because the default on these is what it should be, isn't
Which
it?
is how you want it. Want it
Yeah,
on
of
all the
course.
time, really. You don't
Yeah.
really need it turned off, do you?
No. The aircon, Pete, is up here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up in the top roof. We try and blow that out, don't we, before summer?
Yeah. Well, we blow out every day, to be honest. When I'm on 'em in the summer, I blow
Yeah.
them out every day, yes. it's like everything, isn't it? It gets covered in dust, it gets covered in muck,
Yeah.
and you're going to have a problem. You know, you do hear of people catching telehandlers on fire.
Yeah.
Quite a regular occurrence, you know, especially the boys on straw and that all the time, that.
Yeah.
But no, it's good.
Yeah. And then the last thing to look at is the combine, which
I don't
was.
know bugger all about that. So.
Well, we'll have to get Pete. We'll have to get Pete to show.
Please don't know.